Good morning, everybody. Great to see you all. It's a great day on the Hill. We're very encouraged and even excited this morning about where we are and everything. President Trump, after the inauguration, and Republicans have taken our job very seriously. We haven't wasted a moment. We all celebrated the first 100 days of the Trump administration and all the extraordinary things that have been accomplished in such a short period of time. And we've been working around the clock to codify so much of what President Trump has been doing. I think there's 143 executive orders that have been issued thus far, and we're working around the clock to make sure that we put these into statutory law so that it can't be reversed and erased by an upcoming administration. For some reason, the media acts like that this effort is somehow a negative thing. It's not at all. Anybody who says that, they just fundamentally misunderstand the relationship between congressional Republicans and President Trump and his administration. We all ran on the same America First agenda: secure the border, cut taxes for working families, revive American energy production, strengthen our standing on the world stage, and bring back common sense. Those are the sort of the common themes of all these executive orders and the action the administration has taken. And this agenda, remember, was resoundingly endorsed by 77 million Americans who voted in the popular vote for the president, and almost as many for House Republicans. We set a record for that. It's the most diverse and expansive coalition we've seen in modern history, a real and true demographic shift. And the reason people voted that way is that they had this sort of hopeful anticipation that the president and Republicans in Congress would do exactly what we are doing right now. And we are fulfilling that promise. We already have the formula for prosperity and security, and that's the thing about President Trump. It's not an unknown entity. As we've all recounted many times, he's done it once, he'll do it again. We plan to work together to enshrine the agenda into law and make sure we have a roaring American economy and stability and security and prosperity and strength again. From day one, President Trump has used his executive authority to reverse also the devastating policies of the last administration. There was a lot of that to be done. But as the previous administration made it painfully clear, executive orders can be undone and overwritten, and that's why we have to move it through the legislative process. And we are. Here's a few key examples, okay, of what we've already voted to codify in terms of the executive orders. The President's Election Security Executive Order through the SAVE Act. That's what we voted on and got that done in the House. His executive order banning men from women's sports. We did that through the Women and Girls in Sports Act. His sanctions on the ICC. We did that through our Illegitimate Court Counteraction Act to support our ally Israel. And his Forest Management Executive Order through Fix Our Forests Act. Some of the things we've done so far. Now, this week, we'll add another one to the list. We're going to pass Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill to permanently rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And then we're going to codify dozens more of President Trump's budget-related executive orders, spending-related executive orders through the budget reconciliation process. Let me give you just a quick word on that, and then we'll take some questions. As Leader Scalise just recounted, we're really excited. We're very encouraged this morning. I mean, I'm so thankful to have such a team that's worked so hard. I began the House Republican Conference meeting this morning with all the House Republicans by congratulating and thanking all of our committee chairs. I mean, they worked so hard around the clock. And we've been doing this for almost a year, as we've said many times in here. And all the committee members who were so disciplined in getting the work done. I mean, they had 10, 12-hour hearings in some of these committees, some even longer. And they got the product done and through the process. So by the end of this week, we'll have 8 of the 11 committees of jurisdiction will have done their work. And then next week, we will have Ways and Means, Energy and Commerce, and Ag. And some of you reported, or some of your outlets reported anyway, over the weekend that this was somehow a snag in the process, that those 3 committees were going next week instead of this week. But as I've explained to a few of you individually, I'll just say here together in the room, we went last Thursday to the White House, as the leader mentioned. Steve Scalise and I and Chairman Guthrie and Chairman Smith met in the White House with the president and his whole team on point. We had Secretary Bessent there from Treasury. We had Russ Vogt from Office of Management and Budget. We had his whole Leg Affairs team and Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff, and Stephen Miller and the whole group. And the intention was to work through some of the final details, but we realized that we were still awaiting some key numbers on calculations on some of the provisions with tax and some of the other details. And it just made sense for us to push pause for a week to make sure that we do this right. We didn't want to move this quickly, speed for the sake of speed. We want to get it right. And so everybody in the room agreed that it made sense for us to do that. And so we pushed those three committees that are going next week just off another week, so we can make sure that we have the right equilibrium point on all the key issues. And I'm absolutely convinced we're going to do that, and I'm excited about it. So we'll stay on track. They'll do that next week, and by the end of the week, as Steve said, Leader Scalise said, we'll have our 11 committees. We'll send them by the end of next week to the Budget Committee, and Chairman Arrington then and his team will take that and merge it all together, and we'll have the one big, beautiful bill ready to go. We can pass that by Memorial Day. That was our original time frame, and some of the people in this room balked and thought that would be impossible, but stop doubting us. We're going to get this job done, okay? I'll just make this point. I made it on TV over the weekend, and I want to say it again. The House and Senate Republicans are utilizing the budget reconciliation process primarily because Leader Schumer in the Senate, Leader Jeffries in the House, and their Democrat colleagues refuse to engage in anything, no matter how meritorious, even to improve the lives of their constituents, if it means that President Trump will somehow be credited with a win. I mean, it's really sad, but that's the fact. They'd rather put on performative stunts and host these activist town halls and all this other nonsense than just work with us to bring costs down and make communities safer for their constituents. Now, just think about how the American people feel about these issues. Consider this. Secure the border, right? Securing the border is an 80-20 issue in America. Deporting illegal aliens, more than 50% of American people believe that every single illegal alien should be deported, okay? And yet Democrats, much less the violent criminals, which the administration has taken on in earnest, but in spite of those numbers, okay, the Democrats are taking trips to Central America to bring back violent illegal aliens back to the country. It's madness. Strengthening Medicaid for Americans who need it by eliminating things like fraud, waste, and abuse, which is a huge problem in the program, including removing illegal aliens. If you add all that together, 66% of the American people think that that's a very important idea. We need to improve and shore up and strengthen the program so that it can be there for the people who desperately need and deserve it. And Democrats, what are they doing? They're lying about what we're doing with Medicaid. So much so that we've gotten them to pull down their advertising because they were literally breaking the law. We sent cease and desist letters, and they had to take it down. Cutting taxes for working families and small businesses. What American doesn't want to pay fewer taxes to the government? There may be a few, but I haven't found them. Especially on matters like the overtime that they work, their tipped wages, and Social Security. Big promises for the president. We're going to deliver that. But it turns out congressional Democrats apparently want Americans to pay more. They're adamantly against all those things I just named. They're against keeping taxes low. And when they oppose the reconciliation bill, when they oppose the solution to this, to extend the tax cuts, they are actually advocating for the largest tax increase in U.S. history. End of sentence. Unleashing American energy, lowering input costs, creating new jobs. Democrats want a radical Green New Deal policy extension. They don't want these common sense solutions and all the above policies like we are bringing and that the American people demand and deserve. I could go on and on and on. You get the point. This is what we're endeavoring to do through our budget reconciliation process, and these are the policies we're fighting every day to deliver because these are the ones the American people support and they need and they deserve. When Democrats had a trifecta in 2021, they used the budget reconciliation process. But you know what they did? They used it to stimulate the economy. What did that mean? Well, trillions in new spending and tax hikes and the Green New Deal giveaways. We can't do that. It's not sustainable. So we're going to reverse it. And guess what happened when they did that? We had runaway inflation, making the cost of living for everyday Americans unbearable. Contrast that with what we're doing. What Republicans are working on right now, what we are delivering through the committees and soon through the whole House. Lower taxes, decreased regulation, safer streets, keeping money, more of your money that you earn in your own pocket. We'll take that to the people every single day, and they'll be for us. And as the House works to finish budget reconciliation over the next few weeks, we'll continue to shine a light on the do-nothing Democrats who would rather oppose President Trump's popular agenda than work for the needs of their own constituents, and I just think it's shameful.